Greeting delegates. My name is Saidul Mubin, and I'm an international relations student in UPN Veteran Yogyakarta. And I'm in here to explain to you about the things that you must know in the MUN, or International Negotiation Simulations. First thing is points and motions, and the second is yielding. Third is voting mechanism, and the fourth is order of disruptiveness, and so forth. Okay, delegates. Now I'm going to explain to you about what is points and motions. Basically, when you are in the MUN or International Negotiation Simulations, you always hear the chair said that, is there any point or motion on the floor, delegates? So basically, points and motions is almost the same. When the points is something that delegates propose to the chair in the acceptance of the chair for the sake of delegate itself. And the motions is proposed by the delegates for the sake of conference agenda. And also, for the motions, needs to be passed in the procedural voting. Okay, now you already know about the difference between points and motions. And right now, I'm going to explain to you about what kind of motions that you can raise in the MUN, or International Negotiation Simulation. First is motions to open the debate. Open the debate is motions, is mandatory for the delegates to propose before the general speakers list or after the roll call. Open the debate is used for the delegates to open the debate in the conference. Second is close the debate. Close the debate itself used by the delegates proposed to the chair for the delegates to propose to substantive voting. So before the substantive voting or draft resolution voting, the delegates needs to close the debate. And the third is motions to suspend the meeting. Just like the name, suspend the meeting is used for the suspension of the meeting. So the delegate can use for lunch break or break time or etc. And the fourth is motions to introduce of draft resolution. Like the name, these motions used by the delegate proposed to the chair so the delegates can present the draft resolution or MOU in the front of other delegates. And the fifth is motions to adjourn the meeting. Motions to adjourn the meeting is motions basically to end the conference so the delegates can go to their home. Okay, delegates. Now I'm going to explain to you about moderated caucus, unmoderated caucus, and consultation of the whole. I know that my friends Rahan Fasha Firdausi already explained this in the other video. But in this video, I'm going to explain to you a little bit more detail about what kind of motion is that. First, moderated caucus. Moderated caucus is basically a motion for the delegates proposed to the chair in the acceptance of the floor to the delegates to discuss about the specific topic or subtopic for the remaining times. And the second, unmoderated caucus. Unmoderated caucus, or you can say informal sessions, is used by the delegates to go around freely, not moderated by the chair, and the delegates can go around freely to the other delegates to make an alliance, to make a block, or to work on their documents or draft resolutions. In these sessions, the delegates can freely use the electronic device for the purpose of the agenda. Third, consultation of the whole. What is consultation of the whole? Maybe you already familiar with this, but I'm going to explain to you about this. Consultation of the whole is basically moderated caucus, but instead moderated by the chair, this consultation of the whole is moderated by the delegates. So the proposer can moderate the discussions in the floor. All right, delegates. Now I'm going to explain to you about something a little bit complicated. That is order of disruptiveness. So in the conference, the chair cannot control what is the delegates want to propose in the floor. So the chair needs to know about the order of disruptiveness, or you may say motions by precedence. So I'm going to show you what is the most disruptive and the less disruptive in the floor. First, any points in the floor needs to be considered first by the chair. Second, suspension or adjournment. Third is the extension of the motions, just like extension of unmoderated caucus. Fourth is unmoderated caucus. Fifth is consultation of the whole. And the sixth is moderated caucus. Moderated caucus itself subsidized by the third things. First, by the length. Second, by chronological order. Third, by the number of the speaker.
Is there any points or motion on the floor? Delegates of United States of America, you may have the floor.
Thank you, the Honorable Chair and distinguished delegates. The delegates of United States of America would like to propose a motion for unmoderated caucus for 10 minutes.
That is in order, delegates. Thank you. Next, delegates of Qatar, you may have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. The delegate of Qatar would like to propose a moderated caucus for 16 minutes, and each delegate speak for 2 minutes on the topic of country's past action.
Thank you, delegates of Qatar. Now, the chair will proceed to the procedural voting. The vote will be conducted by the order of disruptiveness, so we will vote the motion proposed by the delegates of United States of America first. The delegates who are in favor with the motion proposed by the delegates of United States of America, please raise your placard. Thank you. There are only 2 delegates in favor and 6 delegates are not in favor, so the motion is failed. Now we will proceed to the procedural voting for the motion proposed by the delegates of Qatar. The delegates who are in favor, please raise your placard. Thank you. There are 8 delegates who are in favor with the motion, so the motion passes, delegates.
Chair approval and chair disapproval. As a chair, you have the right to approve and also disapprove the motions or points proposed by the delegates. There is 2 reasons why you need to approve and disapprove the motions proposed by the delegates. First, the motions does not make sense. The second, the motions is not in order of the flow of the MUN. Delegates, now we move to the topic of points. So basically, there are 4 points that you need to know. First, points of parliamentary inquiry. Second, points of personal privilege. And third, point of order. And the fourth is rights of reply. First, I'm going to explain to you about the points of parliamentary inquiry. Points of parliamentary inquiry is used by the delegates, proposed to the chair to ask about rules of procedure. Let me show you about these points.
Is there any points or motion on the floor? The delegates of United States of America, you may have the floor.
Thank you, the Honorable Chair. Point of Parliamentary Chair. What is the next agenda after the General Speakers List, Chair?
Second point that delegate needs to know is point of personal privilege. Just like the name, personal privilege is point used by the delegates proposed to the chair to ask about the delegates' discomfort in the conference. For the example,
is there any point or motion on the floor? Yes, delegates of United States of America, you may have the floor.
Thank you, the Honorable Chair. Point of personal privilege. The delegates of United States of America want to lower the air conditioner because it's too cold.
Okay, thank you, delegates. The committee will lower the air conditioner.
Third is points of order. Delegates, you need to know about these points because sometimes chair makes mistakes. Points of order raised by the delegates to the chair is basically to correct the chair about the order of the parliamentary procedures. Let me show you the example.
Okay, delegates, after the roll call, we will proceed to the general speaker list. Is there any delegates who want to speak?
Point, Chair.
Yes, delegates of China, you may have the floor.
Point of order, Chair. The delegate of China would like to remind to the days that we need to open the debate before the general speakers list.
Thank you, delegates, and thank you for the reminder. Now we will proceed open the debate first. Is there any point or motion on the floor?
Last but not least, the points that sometimes the delegates forget about that. Rights of reply. Sometimes delegate accuse other delegates wrong or false. So the delegates can use the rights to reply the wrongful accusations that made by the delegates. Let me give you the example about that.
We need to provide more and more investment to the renewable energy. because we need to make sure that our future energy is the renewable energy. The United States of America government would also recommend to the countries such as Indonesia for the fossil energy abuse in 2022 that almost 88% energy for transportation comes from fossil fuel.
Point to right of reply, Chair.
Yes, delegates of Indonesia, you may have the floor.
Indonesia is trying to boost the energy transition and it needs time to minimize the use of fossil energy. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, delegates, this is the things that you as delegates in the conference must know about this. That is yielding, basically used in the general speakers list. So, in the general speakers list, the delegates have 1.5 minutes time or 90 seconds time. So, the delegates can speak freely on that time. But the delegates sometimes not use that time fully. So, when the delegates have over 20 seconds time remaining, the delegates can yield the time. There is 3 kind of yielding. First, back to the chair. It's basically just like yielding the time back to the chair, so the chair can proceed to the next delegates. Second, to the other delegates, is basically the delegates yield the time, the remaining time, to the other delegates, so the delegates itself can speak on that remaining times. Third, is open for Q&A. It's basically question and answer. But let me show you about the mechanism. For the example, the delegates have 30 seconds remaining left. So, the delegates yield the time to open for Q&A. And delegates who want to ask the delegates raise their placard. And then delegates ask the questions. But for the reminder, the time is not started yet. So after the delegates giving the questions, so the delegates who open the Q&A sessions answer the questions and the remaining time is started. So that's how you do the yielding. Voting mechanism or voting procedure. Delegates, you must know about this. There are 2 kinds of voting mechanism. First is procedural voting, and the second is substantive voting, or you can call that 2/3 majority. First, I'm going to explain to you about procedural voting, or someone say that 50% plus 1 voting. Procedural voting, like its name, is used to pass the procedural agenda, like passing the motions. For the pass of the motions, the delegates needs to pass 50% plus 1 from all of the delegates that attend the meeting. Second, substantive voting, or you can call that 2/3 majority, is voting for the draft resolutions or MOU in the end of the agenda. So, for the pass of the MOU or draft resolutions, the delegates needs to vote at least 2/3 of the all member of the attendance of the delegates. Delegates, this is the last things that I would like to show to you. That is amendment. It's very classy, amendments. So basically, amendment can be proposed by the delegates if the other delegates agree about that. So there are 2 kinds of amendment. First is friendly amendment, and the second, of course, unfriendly amendment, or the evil amendment. First, friendly amendment is basically an amendment that doesn't need to vote or 2/3 majority vote to pass this amendment. And the second is unfriendly amendment. This unfriendly amendment is including the major changes in the draft resolution. So need to be voted by the other delegates in order of substantive voting or 2/3 majority. I think that's all, delegates. That's all the information that I can give to you. I hope with this video it can help you to improve your skills in the international negotiation simulation class or in the MUN. And also I hope that in the international negotiation simulation class you have fruitful discussions with your teammates. And I hope that you can learn much with this video. Thank you, delegates. Stay classy.